East Memphis, located corner Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. Looking for a great place to retire, but you still have a very active lifestyle? Then visit Town Village. Only requirements that you're 55 plus. Prices per month starting at $24.50. The Gourmet Chef welcomes you to visit our restaurant and bistro. Package includes 3 complimentary meals per day, maid service, free local transportation, monthly coffee club, theme dinner parties, lots of fun. Visit us and call Daniel or Bo at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home. Town Village Audubon Park.
If ever there was a time for comfort food, this is it. And there's no comfort food like Sunrise on Jefferson. Fresh-made breakfast featuring Sunrise's signature homemade square biscuits or the huge selection of hot, fresh, and fast lunch items are all part of what has always made Sunrise the most comforting of comfort foods in Memphis. Of course, everything that can be done to keep you and the staff safe at Sunrise is a top priority. And you can always order ahead and get delicious Sunrise to go. At a time this confusing, it's good to know there's one thing you can count on: Sunrise.
Family Leisure's done it again. We're talking about the world's biggest spa sale. Up to 30% off on spas and swim spas. Choose from hundreds of different spas from multiple manufacturers. There is special financing available, and if you are in the market, special pricing now as summer starts to dwindle on chemicals and accessories. Always professional delivery available. The spas are going crazy at Family Leisure, I-40 and Whidden Road.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, W253DF Memphis, WPGFLP Memphis, and WIVG Tunica Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Hour number 2 on this Friday afternoon. It starts talking Ole Miss and Alabama. We will talk with Drew DeArmond. He hosts a talk show in Huntsville every morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. He co-hosts alongside Scott Thiessen on the ESPN affiliate in the Rocket City. Gabe Kuhn in with me today with Dave away. Gabe Kuhn, the Tiger standout, part of the cornerstone of the Tiger program that we all enjoy today, and it is great to have Gabe in with me as we talk college football on this Friday afternoon, and we do it now with Drew DeArmond on Twitter at DrewD977 ESPN. He's in Huntsville, Alabama, and if it wasn't for the virus year, he would be in Oxford tomorrow. Will you be? You're not going to be here tomorrow, are you, Drew?
No, sir. I won't be attending at the game. Matter of fact, I mean, we have not been deemed credential worthy at Alabama this year so far. So they seem to be allergic to radio this year, but certainly we are going to follow it closely. We're proud to be a new affiliate for the University of Alabama, and certainly we'll have full coverage. Do as much as we can at 97.7 The Zone, and we look forward to it. It should be a very entertaining matchup with an offense at Ole Miss so far that I think, even though they did not get the results they wanted against Florida, has been very potent.
Yeah, Drew, it's a shame about this year and everybody with restrictions, but I wish some places would understand that radio goes out to thousands and thousands every day, and a lot of dead trees do not anymore. It's not 1985, but that's my editorial comment for this hour. Drew DeArmond, our guest from Huntsville. I bet you're going to high school football somewhere tonight, aren't you?
Yeah, if the weather holds out, I'm definitely going to go probably watch Huntsville High School play against Austin High School, and of course, Austin High School had an alum in the NFL last night, Josh Pearson, a wide receiver who went to Jacksonville State University, was activated by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for first time in his career. We got to know him very well throughout his high school and college days, so we were very proud of him last night, suiting up in the National Football League, no doubt about it. And, and we've got Nathan Morrow from Huntsville High, who's a starting middle linebacker for the Las Vegas Raiders. So our area is not as known for football as it is in Birmingham and Mobile, but there's still some talent that kind of gets overlooked every now and then.
So not much going on as far as adverse situation so far for Mac Jones early in his sort of starting days here at Alabama. But what is the overall feeling from the fan base as having him as the starter right now, coming off of a tremendous 2 years of Tua being just a ridiculous playmaker. I know the weapons are still there, but what's the overall feeling from the fan base from Mac Jones' early season?
Well, I just think it's right now just kind of a special story because, guys, I think the most transient position in all of college football has become quarterback because you can only play one. And so a lot of times guys take their ball and go home. They end up at 3 schools in 5 years. We saw that with Blake Barnett when he left Alabama, and he ended up at Arizona State and then South Florida. And so Mac is kind of an anomaly. He's the old school days of when you see Bobby Bowden have a quarterback at Florida State that would redshirt, wait his turn, and play for his junior and senior seasons, and then go on to the NFL. Well, Mac Jones has waited till his redshirt junior year. I thought the whole summer he was being undervalued. We talked to his personal quarterback coach since his days as a young man, and they've been working together since he was 11, Joe Dickinson. And Coach Dickinson came on our show and just said, look, people are underestimating my boy Mac. They're about to see he's going to be ready for this. And I have to admit, he's come a long way in just over a year, Dave, because I'm telling you, he looked like a scared rabbit, back in 2018 when he got in. But he showed me a lot last year when he was able to prepare to start. And we understand that Arkansas was not a good football team last year. But when he came in and he went 18 of 22, and it was very Tua-like with his execution, that was impressive. And then when you take into account he went to Auburn, which is it's just like voodoo, as Brett will tell you. When you go over there, he certainly threw 2 interceptions, but he still threw for 335 yards, 4 TDs, nearly led Alabama to a win, and then he bounced back from that to have a really high-level performance in the Citrus Bowl against Michigan. I've always felt like that he could play, and I think the fan base has been pleasantly surprised, and they're all aboard the Mac train right now. Everyone understands Bryce Young is a special talent, but Mac Jones, this is almost like a repeat of Blake Sims, when Blake kind of came out of nowhere to catch everybody's, hearts and minds and had a great 2014. Mac Jones is on his way to doing the same thing, as I think right now he and Kyle Trask have been, probably the 2 most prolific passers, though the guy that Alabama's going to see Saturday has been pretty good too.
You mentioned Blake Sims, and in that 2014 season, his offensive coordinator and really a real mentor to him was Coach Lane Kiffin. I thought that was one of the finest quarterback coaching jobs for a youngster that really couldn't find a position. He was athletic. He was the ultimate team guy. Everyone in the building would tell you they love Blake Sims as much as any youngster that's ever been through there. He was good to everyone, big and important or real or perceived or not important or not. Blake Sims was a great guy. Lane Kiffin was right there. That was a hang at the Louvre Mona Lisa coaching job he did with him, and now I think he's doing it with Matt Corral. What are your thoughts on the start for Lane Kiffin, 1 up, 1 down at Ole Miss?
Well, I mean, I've been, not surprised because he's a great offensive mind. He is so good at identifying his personnel and designing an offense around it to, distribute the football. It's pretty amazing because he and Steve Sarkisian are both from those salad days at USC, and they're both really good at that. They really are. I think the difference in the 2 coordinators is Sark is more of an intricate, guy with the QBs that works with the fundamentals and getting them better, with their throwing mechanics and then what they're seeing offensively. Where Lane is just a savant he is supreme at designing offense and figuring out, okay, how are we going to move the football up and down the field, and play design. And the one thing that you can't teach as far as a coach, he is outstanding at, adjusting on the fly. Okay, they're doing something on tape we haven't seen. What do we need to do to adjust and still continue to score? And that's a big reason why Alabama won the national championship in 2015, and O.J. Howard had that huge game, because a lot of that was Lane Kiffin adjusting on the fly. He did it throughout that season. He actually, Brett, if you remember, he redesigned his offense around Derrick Henry the year after 2014. In 14, it was Blake Sims and Amari Cooper, and then the next year, in Ole Miss had a lot to do with that. Ole Miss beating Alabama in Tuscaloosa. You realize, okay, Derrick Henry, we've been rotating 2 backs. We're not doing that now. We've got a guy made of iron that can touch the ball 35, 40 times a game, and he's going to do that. And so Lane Kiffin is really good at adjusting, and I think he's done that at Ole Miss. Matt Corral has been outstanding. He's been efficient. I mean, his completion percentage has been really good. He's been able to throw the ball vertically. You look at Elijah Moore, and you look, at Jonathan Mingo in the last game, and then Kenny Yeboah, who told us about on 97.7, the graduate transfer from Temple. Once again, just like at Alabama, he's spreading the ball around. The running game has not emerged yet, but I think it'll get better as the year goes on because I know
young offensive line.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you what, we've been trying to tell the Alabama fans in our area who are concerned about Alabama's rushing numbers. O-line, exactly. Yeah, exactly. The running game usually gets going around midseason when you start to gel, and I think that's what it's going to be for Alabama. The thing you need to look at is with Najee Harris and Brian Robinson, they're averaging over 5 yards a carry. So I think Alabama's running game is going to be fine.
It just coming from this is coming from an old lineman right here. Just trying to get used to getting guys experience in those situations. That spring ball is so vital, and missing out on that may be an early season somewhat of a lapse for that run game. But I gotta imagine, based on what they've done in recruiting, what they've done in the past, who they have as their O-line coach,
they'll get it right.
They'll get it corrected. They'll be fine. But in regards to sort of Lane Kiffin and Nick Saban's relationship, Lane Kiffin knows some things about how Nick Saban is going to attack. What do you think Lane Kiffin can attack, if there is anything? We're talking about an Alabama team over the past decade that has not had many weaknesses in their game at all.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's some things that, offensively that he feels like he can do. Certainly Alabama has been, I think you've already seen them exploited in the first 2 weeks. They've had trouble with backs out of the backfield. Jerrion Early is certainly a very talented young man, a former 5-star recruit. I'm sure they're going to try to, isolate him on some linebackers in the passing game. Yeboah could get a lot of touches because, Jalen Wydermyer, he really hurt Alabama last week at tight end. Certainly, I think that, that Lane took note of that. Alabama's had trouble with talented tight ends before. Pete Golding and the staff, you would think they would counter that. But again, I do think that Ole Miss is going to move the football. Where I think that they can't match up right now, and this is only going to stall in recruiting, is they just do not have the horses on defense. Even though I think DJ Durkin is a very good coordinator that Nick Saban admires and has had him consult Alabama, they don't have the horses in the front seven to stay with this Alabama O-line, because one of the biggest things that people haven't really talked about, but with David Ballou and Dr. Matt Ray, Alabama's new strength coaches, I think Alabama's in much better shape than they've been in the last 3 to 5 years. And I could tell that by watching Alabama's offensive line in that game last week against Texas A&M. You look at a guy like Cornbread Deontay Brown, who is a senior, who's from Austin High School here in my area in Decatur. He is in the best shape of his career, and he is moving very, very well at left guard. I think he will be a problem for the interior of Ole Miss. I think also Landon Dickerson at center, and I think also even, I think Emil Ekiyor is in better shape, too. I think the interior is better than it was a year ago. And then you've got a guy like Evan Neal who's getting comfortable. Dave just talked about having to get comfortable. He's shifted from left guard to right tackle. I think, honestly, right now he's probably playing better than Leatherwood. But I think that the O-line, those 5 guys, they're going to be a problem for Ole Miss's front. And I think Alabama, we saw Kentucky exploit it running the football last week. I think Alabama's going to come in here and try to challenge Ole Miss and get their running game going, especially if we have a wet track in Oxford, as most expect.
Drew DeArmond, our guest from ESPN Radio in Huntsville. He co-hosts with Scott Thiessen a morning show, 7 to 9 every morning in the Rocket City. Gabe Kuhn, Tiger standout, co-hosting with me today in Dave's absence. Dave will be back with me on Monday. And Gabe, I love the O-line talk. 3 freshmen in the Ole Miss offensive line, a position change for Ben Brown to center. You know what that's like. Drew, you know as well that I think everything on offense starts around the offensive line. Okay, so maybe that's not Lane Kiffin's forte through the years, probably not Nick Saban's forte through the years. It feels like to me that Nick Saban maybe said or unsaid to all these assistants through the years. We know the record now, 20-0 at Alabama against former assistants. I may have taught you a lot, but I didn't teach you everything that I know. I left a little just for me to know. Do you feel like that, Drew?
Well, yeah, a little bit. I think Coach Saban, certainly I think what's allowed him to have an extended and long career is being open to change. I mean, sometimes guys like Les Miles aren't, and that's why you go from LSU to Kansas.
Great point.
And you play in a league which is allergic to defense. So I think in some ways that's why that happens. But Nick Saban has always been open to change. But yes, I think he always has trump cards. He always has something in his back pocket that he can still use because even Lane Kiffin pointed it out this week, guys. Look, there's a reason he's undefeated against former assistants. I mean, he always has some cards that he's yet to play, and then he usually handles that in the matchup leading up to being able to have the success that he's had. It's all about the teacher-student thing. Usually the teacher has some kind of hold over the student.
Mm-hmm.
So far that's happened. But I do think Lane Kiffin has done a good job of revitalizing his career because we all understand it didn't end well in Tuscaloosa. I mean, if he had, handled himself a little better down the stretch, he's the only assistant we've ever seen Nick Saban not carry through a bowl game from the standpoint. If he had been there for the national championship game, it's what I just mentioned at the start of the segment. I still think, even with all those injuries, with Lane Kiffin's football mind, he could have found a way to help Alabama win that game, against the Clemson Tigers. But he wasn't there, and they didn't win the game. And so it was, it put Steve Sarkisian in a difficult spot. But I think Starks responded as well. And I think Lane Kiffin did a great job at FAU. He's off to a promising start at Ole Miss. It's just that they're going to have to recruit well. And Gabe and Brett, I just think overall that Ole Miss so far probably a close second behind Arkansas has probably been a pleasant surprise because I'll be honest, I didn't give them a chance to win in Lexington last week, and for them to have hung in there, found a way to do it, even down 28-14. Again, I think that was coaching, and I think Lane Kiffin is off to a promising start. It's just, and he's going to be entertaining. I'll say that it's going to be a situation where they're not going to be easy to play. I'm still a little nervous about the game on Saturday. I think Alabama's going to win it convincingly, but I do think he is a guy that's dangerous with his football mind and knowing how to score points.
A complete 180 switch, too, from what that team down in Oxford was a year ago. And I know the fans, I know Brett, probably a little more fun to watch than it was just a year ago. But I want to talk about the SEC West, and Brett brought up a great point earlier. Completely different than what it was last year at this point. You had an LSU team who was showing up. Obviously, they're 1-1 this year, losing 17 starters from last year's team. But who in the SEC West? We see Auburn not playing all that well early in the season. They just lost a nasty one against Georgia. Who in the SEC West is going to be there in the end, do you think, to challenge Alabama?
Well, that's going to play itself out. I would still lean to LSU figuring some things out. I think they're still probably the most talented. I do think that what we're learning with Auburn is they have not done a good job recruiting up front. Mm-hmm. They have not done a good job of developing offensive linemen. And now, when you lose a Derek Brown, you lose a Nick Coe, you lose Marlon Davidson, they have not been able to replace them. And they have kind of been pushed around the last few years. I actually think, from what I've seen, and I never would, if you told me this a month ago, I would have told you that, I must have had some bad moonshine or something. I don't know. But I never would have thought that Arkansas would have had a shot to go to Auburn and win. I don't think they will, guys, but I think they have a chance because Barry Odom is not a head coach as I thought he was. Because I'll be honest with y'all, I went to every home game in Tuscaloosa in 2018. That was the team that went all the way to the national championship game undefeated. The most talented football team that went toe-to-toe with Alabama inside Bryant-Denny that year was Missouri. They had outstanding talent. They won 8 games. They should have won 10. They were not well coached. But Barry Odom has done a great job with that defense at Arkansas. They were so bad a year ago. They were as bad as some of the Vanderbilt teams that I watched when I was a kid. I mean, this is a bad SEC team. They are very solid now. So it's going to be interesting to see if Felipe Franks can, stay away from the mistakes, if they can handle a wet track because it was raining in Auburn this morning. Can Arkansas run the football well enough to beat Auburn? I think they can stay in it. And I think Arkansas right now is one of the most improved teams. And I think even though we right now we don't see a team in the West that I think can challenge Alabama, at least at this point, I think everybody else after Alabama is in kind of they're just in a group together. I don't think there's a team. I think Ole Miss right now could play with any of the other teams in the West, but yet I still think now I think now with Arkansas not being just the doldrums that we've seen the last 2 years, I think the West is still stronger than the East because I think there's better depth in the division. But if you ask me, who do I think by late November could still be there to be considered a 7-3 football team? I still think it should be LSU. I still think LSU has the most talent. Now it's just going to be, okay, is Bo Pelini going to adjust? How is this new offensive staff going to work under LSU? I think they took some steps forward against Vandy, who's probably the worst team in this league. But we'll see, because I want to see LSU going forward. But if you had to ask me, I would say LSU probably still would be second behind Alabama in the West.
Talent matters. Signing day matters. Whether it's the early signing period or the traditional February one, it still matters. Drew, have a great weekend. Thank you for joining us today. You and Scott keep up the great work in the mornings in Huntsville. Tell Wes I said hello, and tell all our friends in Huntsville I said hello, and thank you for joining me and Gabe today. It's been a lot of fun. Enjoy your weekend.
Thanks, Drew.
Thank you. Thanks, Gabe. Thanks, Brett. It's always an honor to be on with you on WHBQ. You guys have a great weekend of football, and we always love having Brett on with us in Huntsville. You guys have a great rest of your day.
We will. Thank you. You bet. We will. Gabe Kuhn. Well, it was fun talking to Drew DeArmond, and we were talking offensive line, and I love that because I don't think you have a great team until you have a great O-line. Bama's got one. I think Tennessee may be developing one. I know Sam Pittman wants to. Well, they all want to, and that Sam Pittman especially. I think Georgia's got a good one, and Auburn a little bit deficient right now in the offensive line. Last night in the AAC, Houston in their opener, 49-31. It was all Cougars in the fourth quarter over at Tulane. A thin schedule tomorrow in the AAC, only 2 games. Temple in their opener, where Kenny, your boy, transferred from to Ole Miss. They played the Naval Academy at Indianapolis tomorrow on campus, and they will allow the midshipmen to attend tomorrow. And East Carolina, they travel to USF to play tomorrow. 0-2 East Carolina against 1-2 South Florida. So thin schedule tomorrow in the AAC as the Tigers are off. And Gabe, I think the Tigers have the making of a good offensive line. Sure, I don't like all these fits and starts, though.
Yeah, I will say they had to replace a lot. Over the past 2 years, it's definitely been tough. You lose Dustin Woodard, a guy who's been your stalwart, who's been your guy at center, calling out, barking out all the orders. I think Manny Arona's done good in the early going. But again, I mentioned with Drew on, it is tough to be able to create a certain amount of experience, a certain amount of sort of wherewithal when you don't have spring ball with these young O-linemen. And that's the biggest thing I see missing with these teams that are struggling to start very well with their ground game.
Yeah, and you just have to have laps around the track. At some point tomorrow on Ole Miss airwaves, I will say basically what I'm getting ready to say now. Against Alabama tomorrow night, or against Alabama in that game, kind of just a free shot. Take your shot. Of course, compete. Mm-hmm. Of course, if it's there to, for something crazy to happen at the end. But then next week, a little more in the weight class, a little more of a fair fight in the trip to Fayetteville. And I would imagine Arkansas is probably thinking a little bit of the same thing on their trip to Auburn, with maybe a better chance to win, not as decided underdog. But weight class matters.
Yes, 100%. And Alabama just year in, year out recruits these mammoths on the O-line and D-line, and it's just so tough to compete when you have 5-star after 5-star after 5-star after 5-star just being able to come in there.
And Gabe, when you're in the West, you're playing them every year, either at your place or theirs.
And the interesting thing, I have been impressed over the past couple of years with Kentucky. And this year, I've been pretty impressed with Tennessee so far with
Kentucky's line.
With what they've been able to do up front on both sides of the ball. I think Tennessee offensively on their offensive line, one of the most improved groups in the country. You obviously had Trey Smith last year at left guard. He's going to be a first round pick. He's He is so incredible
Just
to watch.
hope for good health for him.
Of course. Whenever you talk about an interior lineman, that is number one concern. But adding Cade Mays to that lineup, I think they have done great things in the offseason, made tremendous strides, and they've been fun to watch early in the season.
I'm not surprised of the overwhelming tributes to Barry Odom and his defensive prowess.
Right.
The two game plans that he's had and his team's execution of both said game plans for Arkansas against Georgia and for Arkansas against KJ Costello and the Pirate. They were beautiful. They were as good on the defensive side as Lane Kiffin has been on offense and as Mike Leach was week one on offense.
And you would think, given some of Bo Nix's deficiencies, given Chad Morris's game plans in those first two games, it might be some of the same. I feel like Arkansas might be able to hang in there. Barry Odom will come with a good defensive game plan, and we'll have to see. But I can imagine this week being a lot of the same for that Arkansas defense.
And Gabe, strange how the twists and turns happen. If all Barry Odom had to do is say yes, and he's the coach of the Tigers, replacing Justin Fuente instead of Mike Norvell. I don't want to disparage him, but it all may have worked out. He went to his alma mater. He tried to be a head coach. Tigers got Mike Norvell. It all may have worked out.
Right. I got recruited by Coach Odom, and he's been great to me. He recruited the St. Louis area, has a lot of ties.
He knows it.
Back into that area, Missouri. That's why he got hired at Missouri, right? But it's interesting when I brought that up around coach hiring time, the negative backlash you got because people like this offensive, the offensive mind. They like, especially coming off Mike Norvell, having a guy who can generate a fair amount of offense. And then also the knock against Odom in that situation was having Derek Dooley as his OC and not being able to control that situation. Yeah. So I see that point of it. But I think in the end of the day, Barry Odom would have been a fair hire here at the University of Memphis.
It all works out, though. I mean, the old saying, one door shuts and another one opens. This weekend, I know how it works out for you. You need to go to either commissary, either the new Collierville commissary, Houston, Levy, and Poplar, or the original in Germantown, 901-754-5540. 754-5540. Online at commissarybarbecue.com in Collierville and Germantown. Great party areas out in Collierville for you to go out and enjoy safely, socially distant. Have your mask on outside while you're not eating. While you're eating, take it off. You don't want to get barbecue sauce all over that mask. At the commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar, Memphis-style barbecue. The ribs, terrific. Authentic, slow, Memphis-style, great food. Begin that barbecue feast with some great appetizers like the cheese plate or the tamales, the barbecue nachos, the smoked chicken wings. They are fantastic. Everything comes with beans, slaw, deviled eggs, bread as well. You can even order it by the pound or a 6-pack. Or an 8-pack or a 12-pack. You can get the ribs or the shoulder, get it chopped or pulled on a sandwich, a big sandwich, or you can get it on the plate. The Boss Man salad is terrific. The chicken plate or the barbecue shrimp, the wonderful tamales dressed with chili cheese and fresh onions, and wrap it up with the best lemon ice box pie anywhere, or the outstanding banana pudding. Get it online at commissarybarbecue.com. Get ready for game watching tomorrow and Sunday afternoon for the NFL, the party areas in Collierville, and the original in Germantown. Fantastic food from a great, great, great person, Walker Taylor and his staff. They've done it the right way. They do it the safe way. They do it the contactless way. They do it looking out for you. They always did, even more so now at the commissary. Online at commissarybarbecue.com. Have your feast started this weekend at either the Collierville commissary or the original in Germantown. We come back, we talk high school football. We do that next with Glenn Rogers.
Listen online anywhere, anytime at sports56whbq.com.
The folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai want to say thank you. Thank you, Memphis, for another spectacular year. They set records, but I can understand why. You think about the product. Where else do you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty? That's what you get on every new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. Oh, and thank you again for the 11th straight year, the #1 certified pre-owned car dealership in all of Memphis. It starts with that product, but then it goes to the shopper assurance. Where else do you go where you get transparent pricing, flexible test drive, take the car for a couple of days if you want, streamlined buying process? You're not going to be there all day, in and out. And then, and I have not seen this anywhere else, the 3-day worry-free exchange. You buy a new car, if you've got any buyer's remorse, you've got 3 days to change your mind. Just get on Lamar, take it into Mississippi, the first exit's Craft Road, turn left, and go see Chris True and all the gang at Homer Skelton Hyundai. I want to invite you to come by the Spirit Shop. You know, that little log cabin on Poplar, your liquor and wine oasis. The Spirit Shop has been providing sports fans their beverage needs since way back in 1969. So come in now and get ready for the big game. Whether your favorite team wins or loses, the Spirit Shop will help you celebrate or ease that pain away. The Spirit Shop is open every day, and they're located perfectly at 4848 Poplar. That's the corner of Poplar and St. Nick.
Shopping should be fun, but that's tough when you're worried about credit. At Aaron's, we make it quick and easy. Before you go, head to apply.aarons.com to discover your leasing power. You'll immediately know how much you're approved to lease to own. Just apply from your phone or computer, then visit your local Aaron's to shop top brands like Samsung and GE with the confidence of knowing you're already approved. Aaron's, easy, beautiful, affordable. Approval is valid only at assigned store location. Not all stores participating. Approval is not guaranteed. Some restrictions apply.
It's back, the Carhartt Crazy Sale at Frontier Western Store in Olive Branch. Visit Frontier this month for huge markdowns on clearance Carhartt items. The latest fall line just launched, and Frontier is fully stocked. We've got jeans, shirts, bib overalls, jackets, coats, gloves, belts, boots, and more. And to make room for the new items, we've discounted a number of short sleeve plaids and t-shirts. Save up to 50%. All Carhartt jeans are now $5 off. This is the last jean sale of the year, so stock up now for yourself or someone else for the upcoming holidays. Christmas will be here before you know it, so you might as well save some cash now on what you know you'll need. All this month, we are including a buy one, get one half price sale on all novelty t-shirts by Simply Southern, Girly Girl, Live Oak, and more. It's the Carhartt Crazy Sale and more. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch. On the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Family owned and operated since 1967.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Dave out today, Gabe Kuhn in with me, Carl Morris producing, and it's officially a Tiger alumni party as we talk high school football with Coach Glenn Rogers Jr. Glenn Rogers, look at all these Tiger greats I'm surrounded by today. Gabe Kuhn, and now you join us. Look at you. How are you, Glenn Rogers?
Absolutely. Good afternoon, guys. It is a Tiger alumni party. And just saying good afternoon to all the listeners. And Stats, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. And
I'm doing well, too.
It's good to have Gabe with us, and Gabe trying to follow in your great footsteps of helping out at the high school level, being a coach like you've done so well. You at MUS all these years, your dad before you is a legendary figure in the high school coaching scene in Memphis. And Glenn, this has been one challenging year. A lot of games played last night, some not being played at all for too many this year, no games whatsoever. But this has been one for the record books, hasn't it?
It has been, Stats, and it's unfortunate, especially for these seniors, but, we understand last night because of the hurricane moving inland, and so games was put on, moved up to yesterday, and we understand why some are postponed at night, especially down in Mississippi and in the Louisiana area. But it has been a challenging year with COVID-19. We had to cancel our game with St. Benedict last week due to COVID-19 and reschedule it. We had to move the Bartlett game. We had to move that Bartlett game that, because of the St. Benedict game is a league game. So we had Bartlett on the schedule, so we had to cancel the Bartlett game to get St. Benedict on game back in that slot because of our league schedule. And it's just a shame we're not going to play a team like Bartlett, because I think Bartlett is one of the best teams in the league, or in the city, rather.
So, I mean, obviously, I don't know if you knew this, but I've been coaching over at Germantown, and we've...
Oh, man, I didn't know that. Yeah, congratulations.
Absolutely.
Dean
Appreciate
Robbins is a great young coach.
Of course he is. Absolutely. Fantastic guy. But we likely aren't getting a season in this year, and that's just what it is. And it stinks. It's hard to get these players to, buy in a situation where they don't know what the future may hold. But how has it been with actually getting to play? Has it been easy to keep these guys sort of on task, or has it been somewhat of a challenge?
It's been a challenge, Gabe, because we haven't, our guys at MUS have not been in the locker room all year. So this, Gabe, you've been played like I have.
Yep.
The locker room is a sacred place for a football team. It's where
100%.
the team bonds, where the guys hang out before practice, after practice, and we don't have that locker room feeling. And then guys are showing up in individual cars, and then we got to take individual cars to a game. It's really hard for a team to bond and kind of build the type of continuity you want as a coaching staff and even as a team. And so it's been a challenging year from that aspect of it. Once we get on the practice field, it's been fine. But we're checking temperatures. Guys got to stay socially distant, and so that part has been challenging as well.
You're so right about that locker room, that camaraderie, the bus trips, the meals, the unity, because football is a sport. It's not like anything else. One bust, everybody busts. It's no real individuality to it. It's got to be all in the team concept. Yes, you have players that score touchdowns, but it takes everybody to accomplish that. And Glenn, I just hate it for that youngster that football was going to end for them whenever that playoff loss or that last regular season loss occurred. Then it ends for them. They don't get any more football after this. And unfortunately, too many are going through that. They didn't get that senior year. They didn't get senior night. They didn't. That letter jacket will feel a little hollow.
Yeah, and Stats, you're right. And I'm thinking about what Gabe is saying with these seniors at Germantown and just all the city schools. And we err on the side of safety. But I was listening today to Greg and Eli talking to John Varlas. A lot of these kids, Gabe and Stats, will not be recruited because of that. And right. We can say what we want, Stats and Gabe, and people out there may not agree, but sometimes football and sports in general is sometimes a way a kid can get to college.
No doubt.
Because the parents can't just afford it. And sometimes athletics open that door for a young lady and a young man to go to college because of the athletic talent. And sometimes, and Gabe, you know this, you've seen teammates like this just like I have in Stats. You've seen guys, football and sports in general will keep a guy or a young lady interested in going to school.
Right.
Because they know if you take the football or sports away, then because of school, you can lose football or sports. Sometimes you'll get a young man and a young lady really paying attention to their schoolwork because they don't want to lose the sports part.
And the other part of it is the structure it provides. A lot of times, I mean, you would think over at Germantown, you would think that these kids hearing that they're not going to have a season would keep them away, but they're coming more. It's interesting to see how these kids respond to that adversity and how much structure they actually want and demand in their life. And I think, unfortunately, this decision by Shelby County Schools has definitely inhibited that. But I've seen they've made some decisions to help, whether it's a showcase or what have you. They've made some decisions to try to help those guys get recruited.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because college coaches want to see game film. They want to see tape. They want to see a guy going against another guy that's competing, a potential guy that's competing at a college level. And sometimes the combine doesn't provide that because you're not going against the competition. Right. You're going against the clock or you're going against the measurements. And so, to have this season taken away from these young men and these young women in soccer, for the soccer young ladies that's playing soccer, it's unfortunate. But I know everybody's trying to do the right thing, and but this is going to hurt a lot of kids more than it's going to help a lot. It's going to hurt a lot of them. And I'm talking about from the aspect of being recruited, having an opportunity to go to college. Some of these guys and young ladies in other sports are just going to get looked over because they have their senior game film.
That's right. And for those players, it's just a real shame. You mentioned Bartlett. They had the big win last week over Houston, and they had the big win last night over Arlington in a game I think that was moved up, as many games were moved up last night. If it's still on tonight, Collierville and Houston about the best game going. That's still on tonight, isn't it, Glenn?
Yeah, I think they're going to tee up tonight, because they didn't move their game to yesterday like Bartlett and Arlington. But I'll tell you, Stats and Gabe, this Bartlett team I've looked at them on film. They got a running back. The guy's name is Como. This young man is running with some authority. They got an outstanding defense that's causing turnovers. And I mean, I'm telling you, we were scheduled to play them next to the last game of the season before we played Briarcrest. And I tell you, I was looking forward to that game because as a coach, Gabe, you know this, and as a former competitor, you want to play the best. You want to see how you stack up against one of the teams in this local area that's supposed to be one of the best teams. And I was looking forward to that game, but it's unfortunate we had to move the St. Benedict game because it's a league game and that's slot. But boy, I tell you, Bartlett has been a team on the rise and playing some good football, Gabe and Stats.
It looks like he has been running Giamo, I believe. I don't know how to fully say the name.
Robert Giamo at Bartlett. He's averaging 152.2 a game.
Yeah.
I tell you, he's a young man that's on a mission. And, listening to John Bartlett, he's not being recruited. And what really baffles me, Stats and Gabe, is that here's a young man, just like the young man from Houston last year.
Yeah, Lincoln Perry.
When are people going to learn their lesson?
It's more two-star guys in the NFL stats than there are five-stars.
Right.
And so you got a young man here that's proven a point, running the football with some authority, and he's going to get some good competition. And that's why, the schools like the MTSUs, the Vanderbilts, these schools in this area that are losing year after year, I don't feel sorry for these guys because you're not trying to go out and recruit guys that's eligible to play. And there's a lot of guys in this area and the surrounding areas that are good football players that don't run a 4.5. Jerry Rice, Walter Payton, Emmitt Smith, these are Hall of Famers. These guys never ran better than a 4.5, 4.6. And so why aren't these guys being recruited? Because of height and size. Some of the great ones 1.65 or better.
We're too married to the measurables.
And you see
exactly.
You see Lincoln Perry too this year. I mean, getting legitimate playing time as a true freshman. You would think that people would learn after a while, but people get in love with the recruiting circuit and with measurables.
And they fall in love with the 4- and 5-star guys, but there's more 2- and 3-star guys in the NFL than there is. You can go by and pull up the stats. There's more 2- and 3-star guys playing on Sundays than any other stars. And that's because those guys continue to work. And you look at Lincoln Perry at Arkansas State. He's a young man that's running with a chip on his shoulder, and he's playing good football on a high level.
Absolutely.
Glenn, thank you for your time today. We'll get back into it with some action next week as there's a little busier Friday slate, but glad we could visit with you today and want to reference again, you did, but John Varlas is just so good. I pulled up that nugget on Robert Giamo from his Twitter site, and John does such a great job, as a lot of people at the commercial appeal as well, what Kari does with covering high school prep sports, and we appreciate them because we talk it every Friday, and we want to keep preps alive and keep it going, and even in these challenging times. Glenn, thank you. Have a great weekend.
Appreciate it, Coach Rogers.
You too, guys. Thank you, guys. And look here, we look forward to some football next Friday. We got Pope John Paul coming from Nashville coming down. They got an outstanding tailback as well. But you guys be safe and have a great weekend.
You got it. Thank you, Glenn. Glenn Rogers with us on Friday afternoons. It's been a little bit different this year with the prep scene changing quite a bit, but we still want to talk it every Friday, and we do with Glenn Rogers. When we come back, we will talk baseball. It's down to 5 teams. Is that right? Yeah, it's down to 5 teams. We'll talk about one team that will be out tonight, either the Rays or the Yankees. We do that next with Tim Doolin.
Mornings with Peter Edmiston and Anthony Sane. Weekday mornings from 7 till 10 on Sports 56, 98.5, and 96.1.
It is time for the final clearance sale at James Davis Men's Store in the Laurelwood Shopping Center. Listen to this, 70 to 80% off on all spring and summer merchandise. You heard me, James Davis, 70 to 80% off on all spring and summer merchandise. Unreal selection of sports coats and sports shirts for your next Zoom call. Limited selection of shorts and knits, but there are some. If you get there, you'll get 70 to 80% off. Here's some of the brands you can save on during this incredible sale. Peter Millar, Sandstrom, Mac 5 Pocket. I'm talking 70 to 80% off while it lasts. The only place in Memphis that you can find the Stant custom shirt and pants system. Only at James Davis, this exclusive store for this unique custom fitting apparel where shirts start as low as $98, pants at $168. Go see it to believe it. The clearance sale at James Davis. Family Leisure's done it again. We're talking about the world's biggest spa sale. Up to 30% off on spas and swim spas. Choose from hundreds of different spas from multiple manufacturers. There is special financing available, and if you are in the market, special pricing now as summer starts to dwindle on chemicals and accessories. Always professional delivery available. The spas are going crazy at Family Leisure, I-40 and Whidden Road.
Looking for a great place to deposit your money? Try First Bank. Competitive CD rates, a money market that moves with Wall Street prime and interest-bearing checking account options. Not to mention their friendly bankers who make decisions locally. To find out more, stop by one of First Bank's 3 local branches. 6482 Poplar Avenue, just east of International Paper. 8398 Highway 64 across from Wolf Chase. And 6280 Highway 64 in Oakland. Or visit firstbankonline.com. Member FDIC.
Hey folks, I'm Jarrett Carter. My family recently purchased East Memphis Ace Hardware at Quince and White Station, and we're excited to offer the best selection of Big Green Egg and Traeger grills. And then don't forget about our Benjamin Moore Paint Studio and the Garden Center for flowers. Save 60% with our new Duracell key fob replacement program. We have a master locksmith service as well as glass cutting and screen repair. The East Memphis Ace Hardware, located at Quince and White Station behind Three Little Pigs.
Brian Smith, we love the one and only Lexus dealership in Memphis.
Thanks, Stats. The fall months are always the best time to shop for both new and pre-owned cars. We're right in the middle of model year end change. The 2020s have got to go to make room for the new 2021 models, and we continue to trade for the best pre-owned cars in the city, all makes and models.
Service is one of y'all's hallmarks.
Our award-winning service department is adhering to all socially distanced safety precautions.
You can experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com.
Hi, this is Jay Farner, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. We can help guide you to those right decisions now, when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so when you call 8338-ROCKET or visit us at rocketmortgage.com to start your refinance, you'll be well on your way to saving money every month. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.375%, APR 3.59%. Right now could be a great time for you to take some positive financial steps forward with a cash-out refinance from Rocket Mortgage, which could give you the boost that you're looking for. In addition, we may be able to help you refinance with little or no out-of-pocket costs. At Rocket Mortgage, we're committed to every client, every time, no exceptions, no excuses, giving you the best mortgage experience. Call us today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Rates subject to change. Pay 1.875% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Ocean and Brett Norsworthy.
After all this with baseball, we're down to 5 teams. The defeated team tonight will be either the Rays or the Yankees. The victor will advance. The defeated team Well, they'll hit the golf course for the winter months. We know in the National League that the Braves and the Dodgers have advanced. To talk about baseball with us, Gabe Kuhn. Tim Doolin joins us now. Dave out today. Gabe Kuhn in with me. Carl Morris producing. And Tim Doolin, I said earlier to Gabe, I thought the Dodgers went out there and kind of told the Padres, you good? You're going to be real good someday, but not so fast, young fellas.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just, evident that how good the Dodgers really are, top to bottom. I mean, they've just got the total team. I mean, you got a great lineup offensively, defensively. They're one of the best, in baseball, if not the best. And then their pitching staff has just been really, really good. I mean, although if you look at weakness, you'd say Kenley Jansen's really been struggling, but they got other guys that have just stepped up. And I think what's going to happen is, although Walker Buehler's really fought the last couple of starts with the blisters on his finger, but he's really worked through it. And even though he hasn't pitched, great, he's pitched good enough and kept him in the game long enough where they can get to their bullpen, and they've scored enough runs and made enough plays to where they're obviously the favorite going into the next series. Although you look at the Braves, and they've played really, really good baseball, and they've got some guys that are just dynamic.
Along those same lines, though, the Padres, it's obviously a young team. Everybody thought, going into last year and into this year, they're a couple years away, possibly. They looked fantastic through 60 games, but it's tough being in the NL West, having to go through the Dodgers every year. Do you think they could, here in the next couple years, possibly overtake the Dodgers in the NL West?
Well, I don't know that they can overtake it, but I mean they're going to be in the conversation, obviously, with the great young players they have. And I mean, obviously, I'm very proud to see a young Ryan Weathers get a chance to not only pitch in the big leagues but make his big league debut in the playoffs, and he was outstanding. Here's a guy that's 19 years old. Obviously, I had a great opportunity of coaching him, and he played with our organization. But his dad was just dynamic and on our staff, and just how he mentored his son through the process of getting him ready for the big leagues. Put 17 years in the big leagues. David did, his father. So, the Padres they're there. I mean, they're obviously very, very young, very talented. They've got, a lot of great young players, both position players and pitchers. They're definitely going to be there. So the Dodgers can't blink, or these guys are going to be, right on their heels, and it's going to be interesting to see strategically what moves are being made in free agency and what moves are being made, via the trade over the next couple of years. Because, like you said, the Padres are very, very good.
Tim, you can hear it. You can hear the passion in your voice about the experience you had with the Weathers, and knowing both of y'all very well, knowing you and Gabe. Both of y'all were athletes that wanted to be coached. You wanted to be coached fairly. You wanted to be coached toughly. That really matters with parents, doesn't it?
No, it really does. And I think we were talking about it earlier today. We're in a big event down in Florida right now with 100 of the top 18-year-old teams in the country, scouts everywhere. And I think one of the things that really sticks out to me, and I was mentioned to a scouting director today at one of the fields, is that, David, although was a parent and played in the big leagues, he was one of those guys that just he got out of the way. He coached his son very good off the field. Obviously taught him a lot about pitching, but when he was coaching with us, he just was good, and the fact that he let his son go out there and pitch, and that's called learning experience. He really didn't have many bad outings with us, but nonetheless, it was all a learning situation. And, he hasn't just dominated the last year and a half in the minor leagues, but obviously did so well in the, during this crazy time of the pandemic at the auxiliary site. They knew that this guy's ready to pitch in the big leagues, and they brought him in a key, point in the game the other night. And he was, you would have never known this kid was 19 years old pitching in the big leagues for the first time.
Right. It's about getting that experience, especially right now with a young team. But much to the chagrin, I would say, of me, certainly, and probably a lot of people around baseball in general, the Astros are heating back up. And I see their bats starting to explode. Would you attribute most of how they've been doing playing here in the playoffs to what they've been doing as far as their lineup is concerned?
Well, I think one thing that you gotta keep in mind, the Astros, although they lost some key guys to injury this year. They're
Lost
very
a
good
manager.
baseball.
Yep.
Yeah, well, and they're very good. Yeah, they've got very good baseball players, and obviously they've been there. They've been tested in the postseason, and they got hot at the right time. Although they didn't have a great year, wins and losses wise, but they're clicking pretty much on all the cylinders they have right now. I do think that whether the Rays or the Yankees win that series, I think whoever comes out of that series is going to win the American League. Although it would be a great story to have the Dodgers and Astros with all the things that have gone on with the cheating scandal, it would probably be good for the ratings. Although if the Yankees were to win, it would be still a great series for ratings with the Yankees and Dodgers. If they were to win that series, which I think they will. So I think it's lining up to be a really, really good next 3 weeks of the season for true baseball fans.
And I hope so. We all hope so. We all, Gabe and I both love baseball, and we know you do, Tim Doolin. And the sport's been through a lot. Baseball puts itself through a lot. A lot of the wounds often with baseball are self-inflicted, but this time of year, we kind of all get collective amnesia about that. I have found myself, and he has not been one of my favorites through the years. I have had my fun at Dusty Baker's expense. I always said when TLR looked over in that other dugout and he saw Dusty Baker, he knew he was already a little bit ahead in that game. I didn't like the sweatbands. I didn't like the toothpick. But one thing I defend him on, don't take the derision of the Astros out on him. He didn't have anything to do with it.
No, and I think one of the things that you see in a Dusty Baker is, much like I said with David Weathers, is the fact that Dusty's a smart baseball guy. He's been around the game a long time. He was smart enough to know what he was walking into in this unique circumstance. I think he's been exactly what the Astros needed, is a calming spirit of allowing players to play the game. He doesn't care about being in the limelight. He just loves baseball and wants to win. So I think he's been exactly what the Astros needed, and I think it was a great hire for them. Has he done a great job? I don't know that he's done a great job. I mean, they didn't really win a lot during the regular season. I think he's done the job they expected him to do. And the players win and lose games. The managers don't. They make good decisions, bad decisions, whatever. But at the end of the day, players win and players lose the game. So right now, the Astros are playing really well. They obviously have the experience of being in playoff situations. And it's going to be an exciting series whether they play the Yankees or the Rays. I mean, I don't think people realize how good the Rays are. They're really a good club. I think tonight's game is going to be really exciting. I think the Rays bullpen lines up better than the Yankees do right now, or the Yankees does right now. It's going to be interesting to see how long they go with Garrett Cole. But I think it's flip a coin on who wins that game tonight. But I do think whoever wins that game will win the American League Series.
I agree with you. Tim Doolin, thank you for your time. Have a great weekend, and we'll chat next week. We may check with you a time or two earlier in the week, too, with the baseball playoffs here. But thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Tim.
Absolutely. Look forward to it. Thanks, Stats.
You bet. You got it. Thank you, Tim Doolin. 67129 at the First Bank text line. 360-8255 at the First Bank phone line. First Bank, with stories and a record of customers reaching high. Community banks are the preferred lender of people building a success story. Build your success story at First Bank. Visit firstbankonline.com. That's firstbankonline.com. Hour number 3, it starts next with Andy Schiffman.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between, in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I buy houses.
Hi, folks. Good news for bargain hunters and bandits from the Chevy Sheriff in Collierville. It's Western Trading Days at Sunrise Chevy. Over 500 Chevys and used cars in stock just in time for the Sunrise Low Price Rodeo. Factory rebates up to $7,500. Sunrise discounts high as $8,000. And don't forget, Sunrise specializes in secondary financing. Need a good body shop? Bring it to Sunrise. We work on all makes and models. Remember, you can bring your Chevy to Sunrise for service no matter where you bought it. Buy American and buy from Sunrise. Find new roads to the Sunrise Chevy Ranch. 385 in Houston Levy and Collierville. Chevy's cost less at Sunrise, partner.
You know what sounds good? Fresh sandwiches and salads, homemade soups and desserts. And you know where to find all this delicious food? Paradise Cafe at Poplar and Ridgeway in the Regalia Shopping Center. The name says it all. Paradise Cafe makes their food fresh. Salads, sandwiches, cookies, and brownies. Hand-selected fruit, pimento cheese, even 4 kinds of chicken salad. The homemade soups change daily. They're said to be the best in the city. Try the signature turkey burger on ciabatta or shrimp salad on a croissant. Then top it off with a low-fat shake. Paradise Cafe has 11 kinds. Paradise Cafe, open Monday through Saturday, 10:30 to 2:30. Observing current social distancing guidelines with patio seating. Curbside pickup and delivery are also available. Fresh and homemade for you. That's Paradise Cafe in the heart of East Memphis at Poplar and Ridgeway inside the Regalia Shopping Center. You know what sounds good? Paradise Cafe.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Ben Swinger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 125 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Ben Swinger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. 2 Memphis locations, one in Midtown on Hollywood Street across from the Liberty Bowl, and one in Cordova off Germantown Parkway next to the Fox and Hound. Visit their website, benswingerglass.com. Ben Swinger Glass.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, W253DF Memphis, WPGFLP Memphis, and WIVG Tunica Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Waldo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
My goodness, where did this week go? 1 hour to go for this busy week before we head into the weekend with all the games to be played and all the games to be followed and watched, including tonight, potentially the last game of the longest year ever for the National Basketball Association. We will talk with Andy Schiffman about that. And for all the games this weekend, I know what you need. You need that FanDuel app. Hey, Tennessee sports betting, it's almost here, and FanDuel Sportsbook's giving you an exclusive offer to get started right now. FanDuel Sportsbook giving users $50 in free bets just for signing up. You heard that right. They're giving you $50 in free site credit to register and verify early, no deposit required. FanDuel, America's #1 sports betting site, for a reason. They've got odds on all the biggest sports and a simple, intuitive app that makes it easy to find the bet you're looking for, then lock it in. And unlike other sports books, once you win, FanDuel, they get you your cash in as little as 24 hours. Why? Because it's the right thing to do. But right now, the right thing for you to do is download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and check out their fantastic app for yourself. Be sure to sign up and register using promo code CASH so they know we sent you. When you verify your account, you'll receive $50 in site credit when FanDuel Sportsbook is live. That's promo code CASH to get $50 in site credit when FanDuel Sportsbook is live. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Site credit is non-withdrawable. Expires 7 days after receipt. Terms apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. For problem gambling support, call 1-800-889-9789. From Priority Sports, Andy Schiffman will join us and talk NBA after I tell you about the title sponsor of this hour, and that's DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales. You can go online and check out the happy referrals and look at all the beautiful cars at DeSotoAutosales.com. Every make, every model, if it's not on the lot, they'll go find it for you. No shortcuts taken at DeSoto Auto Sales. You walk in, treated like family by kind, courteous employees, laid-back atmosphere, no high-pressure sales, but they care about your time and want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience. They know we're living in a world today that time matters, and that's why within 45 minutes or less, you can test drive a car, credit approved, paperwork completed, and you're gone in time to do it like right now, immediately after work, or over your busy lunch hour at DeSoto Auto Sales on Goodman Road, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience that you know and that you love at DeSoto Auto Sales. Andy Shipman joins us now, and Andy's first Friday with us was the Friday before game day last November. That was Friday, November 1st, game day in town for the Tigers and SMU on Saturday, November 2nd. We never would have dreamed, Andy, in nightmares and a million years that we would endure a global pandemic and the year be kicked back to possibly ending tonight on October the 9th. The Grizzlies' regular season started last year, Andy, on October 23rd against the Miami Heat. And here we are. Yep. It may end tonight.
Oh, I remember looking at a picture the other day of a Grizzlies preseason game when they played the Australian team, New Zealand Breakers. I mean, they're in the Australian League, and I have a client on that team, Tom Abercrombie, when he just posterized Jaren Jackson. And it came up in my little memories thing on my phone. It said 1 year ago today. And you're right. I mean, I don't think even Nostradamus could have predicted
Nostra couldn't have gotten this one right.
Yeah, the last, 11, 12 months here. But like you said, there's a chance the NBA finishes its season finally tonight. I know there were so many critics and people, and even us on this show, we talked about it every week in the spring, just the unknown and the uncertainty of whether or not we even get to this point. So it's absolutely outstanding how the league has handled the bubble and the fact we even made it this far. And I don't think in the coming days, let's say the season and the finals ends tonight with the Lakers winning, I don't think that will be lost in all this. It's just how wonderful a job Adam Silver and his staff did to pull off this bubble, but just remarkably, and I'll be the first to admit I was well off, that there were no positive cases the entire time in the bubble. That was, I still can't believe that happened.
It's fantastic. It really was. They are the poster child of how to get that done, and then other people seem to follow their lead. The NHL was one. The MLB for the playoffs definitely has followed along. But along those lines of what has been done, how this has thrown off the NBA schedule, do you think that this, the pandemic throwing off the NBA schedule, making them start probably a little later for next season, do you think that is actually may have some positive effects on whether it's TV ratings, money coming into the league? Do you think that might have some positive effects, the different start date?
Well, I think that the later start date will have positive financial effects if and only if we're in some realm of normalcy where we can have some fans in the seats. If it's another bubble,
absolutely,
I don't think the TV ratings will really spike up a whole lot unless that's the only sport that's going on. But you're talking about it overlapping potentially with college basketball still at that time. I suspect college football will be done by that point in time, and the NFL will be hopefully in the playoffs by that point in time. And so maybe the ratings will remain in the status quo, let's say, just because there's really not going to be a whole lot of competition. But I don't really think the ratings will increase necessarily until and unless we're actually at a point in life where we can have fans in the stands. And the same thing, like I said, with the financial ramifications, that is a big reason, just to that point, why a later start date might happen in hopes of there being a workable vaccine, and then we can allow fans in the arenas. And if that means the season starts in February or March, then I know all the players are for it. They would like to get back to a point where they're not losing money. The owners, same scenario, they're losing money. I think right now it seems that free agency is going to start no later than early December. Now, that is said today. Could that change? Absolutely. But free agency is all predicated upon the NBA announcing its salary cap numbers and exactly finding out, A, how much money was lost in all this, and B, what will the structure be for the salary cap? Will the salary cap remain the same as it was predicted, which is around $115 million? And then if that is the case, is there more money taken out of each player's check in escrow? I know I'm getting into semantics here. Will the amount of money be reduced in terms of exceptions that teams will utilize to spend on players, which will limit player movement? All these questions are being discussed right now with the Players Association. So once we can figure all this out, then I think we'll hit free agency, which will give a lot of fans a little bit of optimism, because then you will see transactions and you will see trades and you will see signings. And we get to the draft, and look, as an NBA fan, I'm excited when I see my team just drafted so-and-so, or they just acquired this new player, and it gets you a little more amped up for the season, but you have to be patient because the season still may not start for another couple of months.
Yeah, a lot of questions remain, but everyone recognizes the great job for the NBA just to complete this, and we've talked a lot about asterisks and how you'll view it. Well, tonight, about 10:30, 10:45, possibly the Los Angeles Lakers for the 17th time clutching the Larry O'Brien Trophy. I've hit on it. These two coaches, Spoelstra and Vogel, I've loved Vogel through the years. He's finally getting his credit as much as any head coach of LeBron gets it, Andy. Yep. So much of it just kind of baked in the cake with the greatness of number 23 for the Lakers, LeBron James. But it won't be any asterisks on that ring for Frank Vogel, will it?
No, absolutely not. And I think one thing that is not talked about enough, and you saw what happened in Cleveland with LeBron, not only, look, I wouldn't say not only, sure, you're walking into a position where you get to coach one of the NBA's greatest players of all time, arguably the greatest. That's up for debate, and it always will be for as long as we live. But to manage the egos of a Rajon Rondo, an Anthony Davis, of a Kyle Kuzma, for that matter, a young player who was kind of at the front of it all a couple of years ago, that now has to take a little bit of a backseat to LeBron. And, these players have egos. And LeBron and AD are the leaders of this team. And, despite what you might see or might, hear in interviews, look, all these players of that caliber, they all have egos. And to manage all those egos and to get these players to buy into a system, to get on the same page and to play for the greater good of winning as opposed to themselves is not an easy task. And I do think having LeBron as your leader definitely helps. I think the veteran coaches that the staff has, and the fact that Frank Vogel has been around in the NBA for many, many years, absolutely helps. So it's just the perfect formula. But not only will I think just the talent level and the job that Frank Vogel did be talked about is just, again, the management job of a coaching staff. But look, and we've talked about it before. The question becomes, and I think it's a fair question, let's say the Lakers do win tonight, and the Lakers are standing atop the NBA mountain as champions. You can't overlook the job Eric Spoelstra did, and I think you could make an argument the job he did may even be that much better than a Frank Vogel, because he does not have LeBron James on his team. Sure, he has Jimmy Butler, but Jimmy Butler is not LeBron James. Bam Adebayo is not Anthony Davis, and he's got these young players and rookies in Tyler Hero and Kendrick Nunn out of the G League, and just the overall job that front office did, putting that team together, and really, in guys like Duncan Robinson, Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, all of their first years playing together to reach the NBA Finals, I mean, that is one heck of an accomplishment.
For you, Andy, being inside this sort of conversation, there seems to be one side or the other about these playoffs, about this championship. There's the asterisk people, and then there's the people that think this should probably mean more, considering what has happened, what has transpired over this season. Where do you fall on that sort of conversation?
Well, we've talked about it before. I would tend to err on the side of there being no asterisk, because you can make an argument, but I do think what gets lost in all this is, look, every team competing in the bubble all started out the same.
Had to do the same thing.
Well, this is a season where players had no travel in between games in those last seeding games leading up to the playoffs. They're all right there. They don't have to move very far. Okay, but that's every team. So the parity is there. And you talk about the mental grind of being away from your loved ones and from your family and your friends for months and months on end. I mean, you're talking about the Lakers being there, middle of July? And here we are, August, 3+ months later almost. That is something that has never happened in the history of the sport, much less any sport. And to fight through that, and that is not an easy task. So, again, I like your point. It's almost that much more commendable and awesome of an experience for these players and just what they've been able to overcome. So, yeah, at the end of the day, I don't intend to put an asterisk on this. I would say, hey, if the Lakers had some sort of competitive advantage or if the Heat had some sort of competitive advantage over other teams because of whatever factor someone might want to throw out there, then I would tend to say, you know what, we have to take that win with a grain of salt, but not in this case.
Andy Schiffman with us talking NBA as he does each and every Friday during this time. He's with Priority Sports based in Chicago, but native Memphian. And we always seem to get around to this question when it comes draft time. And we'll probably catch up with you before the draft after we give you a little bit of a break from us. Precious Achiuwa, he goes first round for sure, but where? What's the best scenario?
Well, we talked about it before. Obviously, a guy like Precious, right? He had 1 year at Memphis. I think the thing that will hurt him in this process, but look, again, we just talked about it. Everyone's in the same boat. The inability to go and visit teams and work out for teams in person. And now the players are going through this combine this month, and my players are going through the same thing. But it's a virtual combine. It's 1-on-0 workouts. They're being filmed and being sent to NBA teams. And the multitude of NBA teams really aren't going to gain a lot from this. They have told me as much. What they would really gain most out of the experience is bringing a guy like Precious into their gym, getting dinner with him, spending time with him one-on-one, getting to know the character. And really, it's remarkable the difference you get to gain from watching a player on TV versus actually watching a player up close and in person. And it's night and day if you're in that scouting mode. And so, look, if you want to talk about Precious Achiuwa, I would say he goes realistically as high as the late lottery, talking about maybe 9, 10, 11. And I don't really see him getting past the early 20s. When you talk about a Philadelphia who has a lot of picks in this draft, Denver, Utah, Milwaukee, I would be shocked if he gets out of the early 20s. So I would say give or take those 10 to 15 picks there in that 10 to 25 range, we'll call it. Now, to what team? It's too early to tell because you're going to see so many trades happening on draft night. A team like Minnesota with the number 1 overall pick, but they also have the 17th pick. Do they package these picks together? Do they move the 17th pick? Does a team like Houston, with everything they're going through and trying to find a new coach and potentially changing up their roster with no pick right now, do they somehow acquire a first-round pick? So there's going to be a whole lot of movement. So I just quite wouldn't say, well, I think these teams are great fits for Precious. Look, Precious is no doubt an NBA player. He's got size. He's got strength. He's still a little bit raw, but he's got extreme defensive versatility. I think he can guard 2 to 3 positions at the NBA level. And again, when you continue to develop his shot and just his handles and his overall basketball IQ and feel, you're talking about getting an absolute stud 2 years from now. And I think that's what a lot of teams see in him.
Let's stick right there with the Memphis Ties and the draft. I think James Wiseman is an interesting prospect to talk about, considering you just talked about no pre-draft process for the NBA, no real meetings, and not to mention with James Wiseman, no film. Whereas Precious Achiuwa got to put some of that out there. Is this a guy who may fall, or is the talent just overwhelming enough to keep him probably in that top 3 to top 5?
Well, I think in this draft, the talent is just too overwhelming. I mean, you bring up a good point, and James is not participating in anything at the combine. Does that mean maybe he has, some sort of deal in place already, which is very, very likely for a high pick like that. But you're right. In this draft, when you talk about the potential other high-level picks of an Obi Toppin or Denny Avdija or Killian Hayes, LaMelo Ball, Tyrese Halliburton, and obviously Anthony Edwards, I mean, whichever way you slice it, James Wiseman is going to fall that top 2 or 3, unless for some odd reason, maybe you get a team that trades up to acquire Golden State's number 2 pick, and they talked about potentially moving that pick, where you all of a sudden have a team that's stacked with their front court, and they do not need a big right now, and they're maybe targeting a LaMelo Ball with that spot, and then the dominoes fall from there. So I don't even think that's likely, to be honest. I think you're going to see James Wiseman go in the top 3. I still think he goes to Golden State if they keep that number 2 pick. And if not, Charlotte could absolutely use all the help they could in number 3. Assuming he doesn't go number 1 to Minnesota.
Man, would he be a useful piece in Golden State, too? That would be
that would be unfair.
Something.
Yep, and they definitely need some help on the front court to combine with Steph and Clay, a healthy Steph and Clay. they could be dangerous if everyone's clicking on all cylinders, they're healthy, and they add a piece like that. That's for sure.
I think they come back very dangerous, very motivated, and ready to reestablish themselves at the top of the league next year. Andy, we will visit next Friday. That will wrap it up for a little while next Friday with us. We sure appreciate your time today. Enjoy tonight. Have a safe, healthy weekend, and thank you so much for being with us and contributing so much. Very valuable all year. Thank you, Andy.
Thanks, Andy.
My pleasure, guys. I've had a great time and enjoy watching this last game tonight, or maybe it's not the last. We'll see. Thanks again.
You got it. You got it. Thank you very much. Andy Schiffman talking NBA with us. And, Gabe, that will change when the season ends and we go through the hashing and rehashing of it. Then it will really start here locally for us, pointing to next year, whenever that starts. It'll be 2021. There will be no 2021 season. It'll just all be encompassed in calendar year 21. We'll start talking about it with the Grizzlies and the prospects for them next year to not be the odd team out. I gave out the odds yesterday. They're 12th just in the West to win it all next year. 11 Western teams in front of them, and Golden State will be back.
Yep. I agree with you completely on the fact that Warriors team, I think, is going to come out more with more vigor than ever, really trying to prove themselves in that Western Conference. But the Grizzlies, I like their prospects moving forward. They need to add a piece unless they can somehow keep Justice Winslow healthy. They have been in need for some time now of that wing scorer. And I think Justice Winslow, a healthy Justice Winslow, can provide that. But I can't, as a Grizzlies fan, as a guy who covers the Grizzlies, you can't help but be a little bit worried about the health prospects going forward, especially considering you had another incident going into the bubble.
Yeah, you have to be in Justice Winslow. You know, the old saying, your best ability is often your availability. Well, he hadn't had any.
None. And we've seen him on the court. I mean, the first game of the season, the Grizzlies traveled to Miami to play that Heat team with Justice Winslow on the court, and he burned them. So you've seen the talent there, but it's just availability. It is complete availability.
And I don't mind the piece given up by the Grizzlies. I thought it was right. I will defend it. But for this young front office that rightly, deservedly has gotten great plaudits and accolades, this could be the first, that first dent in the armor of not anybody turning on them and untoward criticism. But Winslow's got to come through, or kind of the first big swing will be a miss.
That the pressure starts to, I'm not going to say mount, because I don't think it's going to be, if Justice Winslow doesn't work out, I don't think it's going to be some crazy backlash from the fan base. Especially considering what they gave up was a couple of veterans who have been around the block, who in the future, dealings with this team probably wouldn't be long-term fits. It made sense. So I don't know, even if it does not work out, that the fan base will have really bad thoughts on what at least the difference is the direction, right? And I think that's what everybody wanted to see.
It's no albatross hanged around them like Chandler got with the previous administration. I mean, because that was just kind of the final breaking point.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of blame to go around for Chandler, and it ultimately undid a lot of really good people that did a lot of things for this franchise.
100%. I think but with that sort of leadership at the helm, it was clinging on too long to the grit and grind era, and I think everybody sort of understands that at this point. And again, the direction now is I don't know if a lot of media members or a lot of fans can fault the direction this franchise is headed in.
Yeah, don't ever want to do anything to castigate or disparage it. In spring of 2011, winning that first playoff series, and then the battle with Oklahoma City, and then a few years later to go to the Western Conference Finals, as much fun as it's ever been. And kind of a new toy for me, because I did not grow up going to a lot of NBA. I've been a fan, and we talked about it. We finally got the team, and then we finally got in the playoffs and finally made some noise. That was so much fun, but like everything else, good and bad, it comes to an end, and it ended.
Yep, and with things that are good, with things that people really appreciate and like, you tend to hold on to them for quite a while, and hold on to all the hope you can until you just realize it's over.
And it's one of the many miracles of Bill Belichick and the Patriots. They just didn't hang on hardly with anyone. The day he couldn't produce, he was out. When they got rid of Logan Mankins, I thought, man, that's cold-blooded.
Well, my favorite thing ever with the Patriots, too, is Jamie Collins. What happened with him is he produced for them for a good 2 to 3 years, and he was a great outside linebacker, got a bunch of sacks, and Bill Belichick, he asked him for money. He asked him for, I want some more money, give me a raise. Immediately trade him to the Browns, and the Browns had their years of just disgust. They ended up cutting him to free up some space. Patriots sign him again, and he gets back to the level of production on the veteran minimum with the Patriots. So it's just it's a very interesting thing you bring up right there.
They have that idea of what they value you as, and they're really not going to deviate from it.
No question. The guys that they have kept the longest, you think about Matthew Slater. You think about
Brandon Bolden,
the McCourty brothers. Two of the four I just mentioned, because the McCourty brothers, two brothers.
Yeah, it's a lot of McCourtys.
two of the four are special teams guys who they don't have to pay any money. It's just
it was pretty cold-blooded with Gotti,
right? That's just it's a
and with Vinatieri before that. I mean,
and heck, you could even make the case it was somewhat dirty with Brady. He never got paid all that much. He never got paid like the
always redid his deal.
Never got paid like the elite quarterbacks in the league. Although he won 6 Super Bowls, so
he sure did that. I would say he paid for himself in branding with that great franchise, and it's hard to cut loose what got you there. And I think the Grizzlies stayed with that a little longer, but I didn't want it broken it up. I was always one more time, for the let's get the band together, and then it ended. When we come back, we will do our college football and NFL picks as we do our Friday football forecast, brought to you by First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. That's next on Sports Time.
Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy get you through lunch daily from 10 to 1.
Well, lunch is served.
Only on Sports 56, 98.5 FM and 96.1 FM.
The folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai want to say thank you. Thank you, Memphis, for another spectacular year. They set records, but I can understand why. You think about the product. Where else do you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty? That's what you get on every new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. Oh, and thank you again for the 11th straight year, the #1 certified pre-owned car dealership in all of Memphis. It starts with that product, but then it goes to the shopper assurance. Where else do you go where you get transparent pricing, flexible test drive, take the car for a couple of days if you want, streamlined buying process? You're not going to be there all day, in and out. And then, and I have not seen this anywhere else, the 3-day worry-free exchange. You buy a new car, if you've got any buyer's remorse, you've got 3 days to change your mind. Just get on Lamar, take it into Mississippi, the first exit's Craft Road, turn left, and go see Chris True and all the gang at Homer Skelton Hyundai.
Maybe you've noticed your friend sharing photos of what looks like fried food, but they're bragging about how healthy they are. They're right. It's the latest in cooking innovation, and Lowe's has Samsung slide-in ranges with air fry to help you get in on the trend. Air fry uses little to no oil, giving you the taste of your favorite fried foods. Plus, the air fry tray is included, so you can start cooking from the get-go. Order yours today via our app, online, or in-store, and get free delivery. Bring home innovation this fall with Lowe's. Free local delivery applies to appliances $3.96 or more, U.S. only.
I almost never go to Central Barbecue without running into somebody I know.
That could be because you only eat at Central Barbecue.
It's because Central Barbecue is where Memphians go to get barbecue and has consistently been voted the most popular barbecue restaurant among locals.
Actually, that's really saying something.
I know. Memphis is the nation's capital of barbecue. With all the choices, people who live here go to Central Barbecue.
They do get their share of tourists.
Sure, because Central Barbecue has been mentioned on TV and in tons of national publications. You know why?
Because of the great food?
Because those TV shows and magazines look for the place where the locals go, and that, my friend, is Central Barbecue.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
DQuil Pure Z's all-night bilayer tablets help you fall asleep naturally and regulate your sleep cycle so that you can take on your tomorrow. Designed with extended-release melatonin, which slowly releases up to 6 hours to help you fall asleep and stay asleep longer through the night. ZQuil Pure Z's botanical blend is made with lavender, chamomile, valerian root, and lemon balm botanicals, which have been used for centuries. ZQuil Pure Z's all-night. Simple tablets with simple ingredients that are 100% drug-free and non-habit forming.
Time for the Friday football forecast from First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. For real estate, commercial, ag, hunting, and recreational, contact them at fnbt.com or 901-498-5763.
Friday football forecast from First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. Real estate isn't something you purchase or develop or desire. It's something you appreciate, respect, and know. With real estate, there's no gray area. You either know it or you don't. First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas, they've known it since their beginning in 1886. Clients depend on First National Bank because they know real estate. Brooks Winchester, Nick Sutton, and many more can assist you in your acquisition of that hunting land, farmland, a construction project. Let First National Bank and Trust make your dreams a reality. 775 Ridge Lake Boulevard, Suite 140 in Memphis, 901-498-5763 or fnbtmemphis.com. That's fnbtmemphis.com. For commercial real estate, residential construction, or recreational and agriculture financing, let First National Bank and Trust help you, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas, where I've had an account and been a friend my entire life. Forever, one of the real financial bulwarks in Eastern Arkansas at the corner of Broadway and Washington has been First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas, and now in Tennessee, in Memphis at First National Bank and Trust on Ridge Lake Road. Stable, secure, solid. That has been their hallmark through all these years, since 1886, and we are proud to have them sponsor of our Friday football forecast. And let's get into it. Gabe, one of the great rivalries in all of college football, and it's hard to have a great in-season, in the middle of the year rivalry. Most of them are at the end when you have the state championship games and you're playing for boots and belts and eggs and iron and all that stuff. But OU in Texas, it has been through the years, and tomorrow with the coaching difficulties, really a big game for both. Oklahoma, 1.5-point favorite. That game on Fox at 11 o'clock tomorrow. I will start with Oklahoma. I will give Dave's pick. He had to take Texas. Dave's wife is a proud alumni of Texas.
Is Texas back?
He has to take he has to take Texas, or he sleeps on the other side of my duplex. So I take OU. He takes Texas. Drew takes OU. Who do you take, Dave?
I have to take OU. I have to take them minus the 1.5.
OU, the slim 1.5, that would give Texas 2 losses. Of course, Oklahoma with 2 in the Big 12. They could be in trouble. 2:30 on CBS. Georgia minus 12.5. That's the number we're keying off of. I give everybody these numbers late on Wednesday night, and we stay with that number because it could get a little confusing on a Friday afternoon with the volatile numbers in Vegas. But Georgia laying the 12.5 between the hedges against Tennessee. I take Georgia. I say 27-13. They narrowly get over that 12.5. Dave, he takes Tennessee. Drew, he takes Georgia. Gabe Kuhn, who do you
I take Tennessee. I think they've been great in the trenches. I don't think Georgia with Stetson Bennett has been all that fantastic. I like Tennessee to cover, not to win.
I like your analysis. It's a really great line set by Las Vegas. So you go against the UT kind of west of the Mississippi and for the UT more in our footprint with the Volunteers. 3 o'clock on SEC Net, Auburn, 14.5-point favorite. Gabe, I like Bo Nix. He had a lot better supporting cast, it looked like, around him last year. He will be a senior quarterback in 2 seasons, maybe 3 with everybody getting this year back. He will obliterate all the passing records at Auburn. Tomorrow against Arkansas, Gus Malzahn against his home state. The Tigers 14.5-point favorite on the Plains. I have Auburn. Dave has Auburn laying the 14.5. Drew has the Razorbacks. Gabe Kuhn, your pick.
I'm going to go Auburn here. I know they've had struggles through the first 2 games. I think Arkansas has played fantastic through 2 games, but I think Auburn now is going to have a beat on Arkansas.
What about in Gus Malzahn's presser this week? He was paying compliments, and he should, to the job that Sam Pittman's doing, and talked about how much better coach they are. Gus, your offensive coordinator, it was part of the reason they're better coach now.
And is Chad Morris doing the play calling?
They say he is.
Because if he really is, that is concerning, and that definitely would lead me to believe Arkansas might be able to cover it. But I'm going to go Auburn here. I think they're a little more talented.
The game where I will be tomorrow at 6:30 now, the kickoff time, 4:30, will come on these airwaves. Richard Cross. I'll be with Richard Cross tomorrow for pregame and for postgame. That could be much, much later tomorrow night if we have weather delays. Alabama, 23.5-point favorite over Ole Miss. This is no knock at all on Ole Miss. A lot of teams are going to have this dilemma against Alabama. Mighty Alabama. Just about everybody in the SEC West this year, and a lot of people across college football would. I think Ole Miss can improve tomorrow and can have a small V victory, but not the ultimate win in the left-hand column, as Alabama will roll, and I'll take Alabama minus the 23.5. Dave did as well. Drew takes Ole Miss with all those points. Gabe?
Give me Ole Miss. I think it'll look gross early. I do think it'll look gross early, but I think the Rebels are going to come and get the backdoor cover on this one.
Our college football locks. Dave takes Notre Dame laying the 20.5 over South Florida. Drew does the very same thing. They both have that pick.
Or Florida State, rather.
I'm sorry, over Florida State. Why'd I write down USF? It's Mike Norvell.
I wonder who would win a game between South Florida and Florida State at this point.
It's a good question right now, but it's over Florida State, and they both know Mike well, like you, who knows him better than just about anybody on these airways. My team is from Florida, but it's the Florida Gators minus 6.5 over A&M. Who's your college football lock?
This one's easy to me. Temple's playing their first game at Navy. They're minus 3.5. They have returning O-lineman, redshirt senior, graduate transfers. They have Anthony Russo still, Raymond Davis. I think they roll. Navy has not been good.
I love it when we have this dilemma. So your college football lock will be my college football shock. Ooh. I'm going to go against you and take the middies plus 3.5. You're right. They haven't looked great. Coach Neil Matalolo, he's got to be really upset at putting that team out there. But Temple, 0-0 on October 10th, I think that will get them.
But I will say this, Coach Neil Matalolo knows how to bounce back from some adverse situations.
Dave had his college football shock last night, had Tulane plus the 6.5. They lost 49-31, so already have an L out there by him. He had a good time at Drew's expense. Our buddy Drew, he had a tough one last week.
Oh, gosh, I missed it.
2-11. And Dave crushed him.
That's hard to do.
That's what Dave said. I told him he's really not. I've gone 2-11 many times. It's not hard to do. Really, Gabe, it was quite easy to do it. It was very disappointing as the weekend unfolds. But ask our man John Harden if 2-11's not always out there for everybody. And Dave already with the loss on the Bears last night, he went against his team with the Buccaneers, and he's already had Tulane off. He goes 2 and whatever this week. We have a great time with him.
Bright side for Drew, 2-11's better than 1-12 or 0-13.
Well, I guess no, mathematically it definitely is better, but I don't know if it really makes you feel that much better. Drew's college football lock: Texas Tech plus the 12.5 over Iowa State. Number 71's college football shock.
This is one that earlier we had Bruce Marshall on, and he liked this. I like Kansas State plus the 9 at TCU. TCU riding high. I think Kansas State can come in there and put them down a little bit.
We'll even give you the half point because we never push. So you got Kansas State plus the 9.5.
Ooh.
Kansas State's been hard to figure this year, haven't they?
They seem to always be, but Kleiman over there, he's done a decent job. They've had Skylar Thompson as their quarterback there for what seems like a decade.
Came in right after Michael Bishop, didn't he?
Right.
It feels like it.
They're an experienced team. I don't know if they're all that good, but I think they can stay close with TCU.
There are a lot of teams that have been hard to figure, and we knew this year would have that eggshell feeling about it. Heck, all the sports has it. I would hate to have to I would hate to have to pick these games for it to matter my income.
Oh gosh, especially on a year like this where you just don't know what a team's going to look like.
You don't know who's going to play.
And the craziest thing was, the first game of it wasn't the first game of the year, but Navy versus BYU. That line was what?
We love
3?
Navy.
It was 3 points. I had a feeling BYU would handle them because they're big and they were more physically imposing, but 55-3 was the final score of that one. And I don't think anyone envisioned that.
And that BYU start, they have started 3-0. It's not against the best schedule. 55-3 over Navy at Navy, 48-7 against Troy, and 45-14 last Friday night against Louisiana Tech. And tomorrow they go against Texas San Antonio. To the NFL. We had one game last night, group lock loss, all of us. The quad lock. We all lost it with taking the Buccaneers laying the 3.5. The Bears win the game straight up 20-19. So we go to Sunday afternoon, 3:25 on CBS. A battle of 3-1s. Cleveland, Baker Mayfield, 3-1. Heck, young Stefanski's won more games in a month than Hugh Jackson won in his whole tenure there, Gabe.
Sure did.
Who's your pick?
I'm going to go Cleveland plus 1.5 here. Indianapolis, though, I have to give them credit. I didn't think they were going to be worth a darn this year, but their offensive and defensive lines are top 5 in the NFL. They are fantastic. But I
love their O-line.
I'm still going to go Cleveland plus 1.5 here.
I told you, at my core as an old O-line coach, I loved how they are always all crazy, all had their hats turned on backwards, all screaming and cussing and acting maniacal. And you see me often act like that, Gabe.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're a loose cannon.
I'm with you on Cleveland. I'm gonna take the Brownies plus the 1.5. Dave has the Colts and Drew has the Colts as well. Sunday night football, 7:20 on NBC. Seattle, a 7.5-point favorite over the Vikings, one of the breakout big stories of the year. Seattle, one of the undefeated teams, and DK Metcalf, and that entire receiving core with Russell Wilson, what he's doing at quarterback. Give me Seattle. Dave takes Seattle. Drew takes Seattle. Are you going to make it 4?
I am not. Vikings 7 in the hook. I'm gonna take the Vikings here. I like the Vikings here.
The NFL
coming off a win, maybe a little confidence.
The NFL often can be a hook league, can it? I mean,
gosh, yeah.
That half point really matters, especially
7.5 in the NFL that's a load of points.
It's kind of a 3.5, 6.5, 7.5 pick'em type league. NFL lock for me. NFL lock for me will be Arizona minus the 7.5 over the Jets. If that game gets played, they're having a little COVID issues there. I say if they play it, Cardinals 42-10 over the Jets. Drew has that as his NFL lock as well. Dave has the Steelers minus 7.5 over in-state rival Philadelphia. Who's your NFL lock?
I'm taking the Rams minus 7 at the football team. The football team making a switch at quarterback. I think the Rams pulverize them.
You gotta get that 7.5 tack to it. So minus 7.5 for the Rams at the football team. That's Washington, and the Rams have been good to people that have picked them so far this year, either in locks and the few times that they've been of the shock variety. Shocks for Drew, Miami plus the 9.5 at San Francisco. Bruce Marshall loved that. Dave has Carolina plus 2.5. over Atlanta, winless Atlanta. Can Dan Quinn take much more? I have Jacksonville. Very risky. I have Jacksonville plus 6.5 in Romeo Crennel's interim debut as head coach of Houston after they let Bill O'Brien go. Can Dan Quinn take a 0-5?
I wouldn't imagine. I got to imagine Adam Gase over in New York with the Jets is probably his days are numbered. But my shock is the Dolphins. I agree with Drew. I think plus 9.5 against the Niners.
Boy, a lot of people like Miami. They're talking the ability maybe after this week, next time they play at home for more fans, and the buying public will largely dictate if they feel safe enough to go out and do that. Even when we get the all clear signal, the come one, come all, Gabe, I think for a lot of reasons people aren't going to go storming back, both financially and on the medical front, on the health front.
Yeah, it's going to be, and I think a lot of people have made this argument that want to be at these games, is that you can make this decision by yourself about how you feel to show up at these events, and I think there will be residual effects, no question.
I trust people to make good decisions, sound decisions for them. That's what First National Bank and Trust, that's what they do, and will help you do. A division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. Our Friday football forecast brought to you by them every week for real estate, commercial, ag, hunting, and recreational. Contact them at fnbt.com, or call them at 901-498-5763. We appreciate them so very much. We appreciate our listeners and all our sponsors a bunch, and we'll wrap up a fun week. We'll do that next with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56, 98.5, and 96.1.
It's buyback days. Hi, this is John Conway with Conway Services. Did you pay a big repair bill on your existing heating and air conditioning system this year? Is your energy-guzzling heating and air conditioning system on its last leg and you think it's worth nothing? Good news, it's buyback days at Conway Services. We'll buy back your repair this year up to $1,500 toward the purchase of select Carrier Infinity systems. That's right, we'll buy back your repair up to $1,500 even if we didn't do the repair. Just show us the receipt from another company and we'll buy back the repair. If you didn't have a repair bill this year, we'll give you up to $1,500 trade-in for that old energy-guzzling system toward the purchase of select Carrier Infinity systems. When air conditioning systems get older and inefficient, the cost of repairs and high utility costs can almost pay for a new system. So call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric service company today, and the first 30 callers with a 10-year-old heating and air conditioning system will come out and inspect it absolutely free.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
Hi, this is Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roof Services. You've heard me talk about how we offer the best products, the best warranties, and the best services for years. Now let's talk about pricing. Pricing should never be the only reason you hire a contractor, but in today's world, pricing is always a consideration. So we suggest you get 2 or 3 estimates for your roof replacement from a reputable, licensed, and insured company, and then give us a call. If we can't beat your best price for a comparable roof system by more than $100, we'll give you $100. It's that simple. We are so sure we can offer you the best price, beating all other qualified companies. We will hand you $100 if we can't, and thank you for the opportunity. So give us a call. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Make $100? Five-Ash Roof Services, a proud supporter of Tiger Athletics and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Five-Ash Roof Services, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Brian Smith, we love the one and only Lexus dealership in Memphis.
Thanks, Stats. The fall months are always the best time to shop for both new and pre-owned cars. We're right in the middle of model year end change. The 2020s have got to go to make room for the new 2021 models, and we continue to trade for the best pre-owned cars in the city, all makes and models.
Service is one of y'all's hallmarks.
Our award-winning service department is adhering to all socially distanced safety precautions.
You can experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight. shipped exclusively FedEx. When we put them in nice packaging, we don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together, so the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner. Rendezvous ribs are perfect for out-of-town clients, customers, loved ones. We also ship ribs for any occasion.
Where do we order these great ribs?
You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the alley since 1948.
In today's world, a lot is going on, but one thing is always true. You need to take care of yourself. The skin clinics can help. Age, diet, genetics, and current events can conspire to make you look and feel much older than you are. It doesn't have to be that way. Call the skin clinics and let their expertly trained nurses, estheticians, and staff choose the treatment that best suits you and your pocket. There's so much you can do. Consider skin resurfacing and rejuvenation, lash extensions and specialty brows, injectables, medical grade chemical peels, laser hair reduction, waxing, facials, makeup applications, and even services just for men. The Skin Clinics has it all in a caring, safe environment, always observing current social distancing guidelines. Go to theskinclinic.com to find out more and call today for your appointment at 901-345-SKIN. That's 901-345-SKIN. Taking care of yourself is good for you and your loved ones. Come to the Skin Clinics, 1300 Wolf Park Drive in Germantown.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Come on, Hamid.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is Geraldo. It is crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that?
Boop!
Choo-choo!
What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
It's obviously crunch time. Hammer, nail, coffin, this baby is over.
On 1, on 2, on 3. Take.
Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day. Sadly, Gabe, I learned today that I was not surprised by a single allegation. Some of them were salacious, but I was not surprised by a single innuendo or allegation out of the Wichita State Greg Marshall case. That didn't make every one of them true.
Yep.
But I'm saying that I sensed something through the years watching him. I mentioned earlier, wound real tight. You can Google the incident in 2017 at the NCAA tournament involving his spouse. I want to be really careful there because they don't need to get into the sharp elbows, the rough and tumble of the conversation. But I was not surprised. What'd you learn?
I learned today that the NFL sent out a memo, and this memo is very interesting because it's telling officials now that they are authorized to penalize teams for unsportsmanlike conduct if a coach or someone else on the sideline approaches a referee without wearing appropriate face coverings. Now, I don't know about you, Brett, but I have seen several instances where they're not covered, and they have been talking to these refs. And if these are thrown every time a face covering is not on while approaching a ref, this could be a slippery slope.
I hope one gets called, and I hope it is the first step toward the long march of ending all the in-game lobbying and rat-a-tat-tat of players toward the referees. Call made, go with it. I hope around sports we can ease away from all the yow-yowing with the referees. They got a tough enough job, but you're right. Yep. It is a very, very slippery slope. I could have done without this forecast. Hurricane Delta on the way. It's no longer set to go right over the stadium in Oxford. Now it's just set to go over the baseball stadium. So I got about a quarter of a mile that I won't be under the torrential rain. It's going to be a sloppy track tomorrow. But in this year, why not have a hurricane while we have a global pandemic when we really can't tailgate? We can't tailgate at all in the Grove for the Bama game. I guess if you're going to have all those things collide, this is the year to do it. What is it you could have done without?
I could have done without what you just mentioned here with what you learned today. I could have done without the Greg Marshall in Wichita State.
Yeah, that was bad stuff.
Nonsense. It's not good. The verbal, possible physical abuse of punching a player using racist language and bullying. You'd never want to see that. I definitely don't want to see it with a guy who's been fantastic, how he has been at Wichita State. This could be a massive blemish. I don't know what will come of it. I have no idea. We've seen stuff happen in the offseason with Iowa football where you got rid of one guy. But all of the all of the fingers are pointing right at Greg Marshall. It's very concerning, and it could be a massive, massive loss for the Wichita State program.
You're right. These accusations are concerning, but Gabe, it's somewhere, maybe a longer form topic next week on these airways for one and all to do. Somewhere between the guy being ruined, you're done, persona non grata, career over, and letting him get by with it. Can't we catch a happy medium?
We can. I think a suspension maybe in order, something of that nature. You don't want to see him completely get taken away from this job he's done, because he has done just a fantastic job. He's been one of the great coaches in college basketball, so you certainly don't want to see his career end on these means. It cannot go unchecked.
It cannot go unchecked. What are you keeping a close eye on this
I'm
weekend?
keeping a close eye on one. We got finals game 5 tonight. I think the Lakers close it out, but I'm keeping a close eye on it. But I mentioned it to you via text before the show. I am keeping a very close eye on this ACC schedule this weekend. I think a lot could be sorted out in the ACC this week. You have Clemson against Miami. Miami travels there. Some think they're back. 1 versus 7. It's the biggest game of the weekend in prime time. You have Notre Dame taking on Florida State. I don't think Florida State has a chance. But again, 2 big-name schools getting to go at it. And my former coach in Justin Fuente traveling to North Carolina to see if North Carolina is indeed at the top of the ACC. So I think a lot will be sorted out through this week's ACC schedule.
That's a good call to be on watch for all that. I'm keeping a close eye on the only division series yet to be settled. Almost minutes away from that, about 10 minutes away. Rays, Yankees, the Astros await the winner. NBA Finals, Game 5. It could end tonight. Gabe mentioned Mike Norvell and FSU at South Bend, and another coach in the ACC, Justin Fuente, and his Virginia Tech team. We will watch all that. You're not on upset alert for the U in Clemson, are you?
Oh, I see. I don't know. I guess slightly, not fully. I think Clemson handles business, but who knows? De'Aaron King can make some things happen, and that defense has looked pretty well through 3 games.
Red River Shootout at Fair Park. I will think about my time there 4 years ago. It was as much fun going to a game that I really didn't care about who won as I've ever been to. The mighty Crimson Tide. I'll see them up close tomorrow. And Nick Saban against Lane Kiffin, 4:30 pregame, 6:30 kick on these airwaves tomorrow night on the Ole Miss Learfield IMG station network. And also on Sunday, the NFL Sunday, the games that will be played into Monday and into Tuesday. And we will talk about it all on Monday when Dave returns and Drew returns. But today could not have done it without Carl Marsh. Thank you so much, Carl, for producing. Good luck to your Lakers night. And Gabe, as always, terrific job. Both of you guys, just fantastic day. This isn't easy. Strung out all over the place.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me. It was a good time. Definitely need to let our listeners know following this, we're going to have Louisville at Georgia Tech on these airways, Sports 56, 98.5, 96.1.
Man, we are locked in on the ACC this weekend, both on these airwaves and keep an eye on it this weekend. But, again, thanks so much to you guys. Also, thanks to Bruce Marshall from the Gold Sheet, Drew Darman from ESPN Radio in Huntsville, Glenn Rogers on high school football, Andy Schiffman with us every Friday with talking NBA with us. Keep it right here on Sports 56 and 96.1 and 98.5 FM all weekend long. Plenty for you, for everybody from Sports 56. I say thank you and have a great weekend, and we will talk to you on Monday.